Insurgents linked to the Islamic State terror group in Mozambique are increasingly abducting children. At least 120 children have been abducted this year. They are being exploited for forced labor and transporting looted goods, or as Ragini Sudhir Chauri reports, pressed into service as child soldiers, or worse, forced into marriage.
A dire situation is unfolding in northern Mozambique, where at least 120 children have been kidnapped in recent days by jihadist insurgents. Human Rights Watch is raising the alarm over a surge of abductions in the country's conflict-ridden Cabo Delgado province, calling the situation one of the world's most neglected crises. The children, according to Human Rights Watch, have been taken by a local armed group linked to the Islamic State known as Al-Shabab, not to be confused with the Somali-based group of the same name. These children are allegedly being forced to transport looted goods, perform hard labor, and in many cases serve as child soldiers or be subjected to forced marriages. Mozambique has been locked in a conflict in the oil-rich Cabo Delgado region since 2017 as government forces struggle to contain an Islamist insurgency. They've had to rely on troops from Rwanda, South Africa, and other regional allies to counter the violence. Yet, despite these efforts, the attacks and now child kidnappings are on the rise. Human Rights Watch reports that some children abducted earlier this year were eventually released, but many are still missing. Those who do return home often have trouble reintegrating into their communities with limited resources for recovery or support. Local civil society groups and UNICEF have echoed growing concern over the surge in kidnappings. In recent months, there have been several confirmed abduction incidents. On 23rd January, 7 children, including 4 girls, were kidnapped. Only 2 were released. In March, 6 children were taken to help transport stolen goods. Most were freed the next day. In May, the abductions continued with a total of 9 girls and 2 boys taken across multiple incidents. Locals say the abductions are not random. When Al-Shabab militants enter or attack a village, they often seize children to train and use them as fighters. A member of the Association of Women in Legal Careers in Cabo Delgado warns this has become a disturbing and routine tactic. The violence has already claimed more than 6,000 lives since the insurgency began, displacing nearly 1.4 million people and derailing development works, including a gas project. The United Nations says that more than 600,000 people have fled their home, with the crisis spilling into neighboring provinces. Adding to the hardship, Cabo Delgado has been battered by cyclones and cut off from international support after US President Donald Trump's government slashed foreign aid. Meanwhile, political unrest following last year's post-election protest has drawn attention away from the growing crisis. The Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council visited the region earlier this month and described northern Mozambique as a neglected crisis. The Council warned that climate shocks, escalating violence, and worsening hunger emergency are devastating communities. More than 5 million people in the country now face critical levels of hunger, with nearly 1 million in emergency hunger conditions. Human Rights Watch is calling on Mozambique's government to act urgently, not just to find the missing children, but to prevent further abductions. It is calling for medical care, psychosocial support, and robust reintegration programs for the rescued children. Mozambique is already bound by both national and international laws that protect children from exploitation and abuse, including the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Recruiting or using children under the age of 15 in combat is a war crime. A representative of Human Rights Watch summed up the urgency of the moment by saying that Mozambique's government needs to take concrete actions to safeguard children and prevent armed groups from using them as tools of conflict. Ragini Sudhir Chaure's report for DD India.